Hello, everyone, and welcome to this webcast, which is going to be about the Eurostars program. Today, we will go through the main rules of this European funding program, and I would like from the start to let you know that during this webcast, feel free to share with us all your questions and doubts, and we will be able to respond to them in due time. Before we start, I would like to give a little brief context about the Eurostars program. As some of you may know already, the Eurostars program is co-financed by the European Union through the program Horizon Europe and represents, we believe, an excellent opportunity for innovative SMEs and research centers and as well as universities to see their projects, their R&D projects funded, and to start collaborating internationally on the R&D and innovation landscape. And so, in this webcast, we will explore the details of the Eurostars program. We will discuss the main eligibility criteria and the application process. We will be focusing on the Eurostars 8th call, which is currently opened until the March 13, 2025. And so with this, we will start our webcast with a brief context about the program. The Eureka Eurostars program was adopted in 2008 by the European Union, and this is a result of a contractual collaboration between the Eureka initiative and the European Commission. Currently, this program is part of the European Partnership for Innovative SMEs, as I mentioned previously, co-financed by the European Union through the Horizon Europe program, and by 37 other countries which are within the Eureka network. And this is because, in addition to the member countries of the European Union, countries associated with Horizon Europe and non-European countries such as South Africa, Canada, South Korea also participate in this program with their own public funding. Now, explaining slightly the type of projects that Eurostars support, it is important to understand that it is highly focused on innovative international projects, which should be led by SMEs, small and medium-sized enterprises, with a strong focus on research and development areas. The program has a bottom-up approach, and so Eurostars supports the development of innovative, rapidly marketable products, processes as well, and services that help improve the daily lives of people around the world with no specific, let's say, sectors being in focus. And that's why it is a bottom-up approach which Eurostars apply. Finally, Eurostars has been carefully developed to meet the specific needs of SMEs and to deal as a first step, to serve as a first step in international cooperation, allowing the small businesses to combine and share knowledge across national borders. And that's why we state that is a great gateway, a great first step for entering European funding. Now, moving on to the objectives and eligibility criteria of Eurostars. There are a couple of details which are important to have in mind. In practice, as we briefly explained Eurostars funds collaborative innovation activities, okay, aiming at maturing technology from any sector, as I said before, and it is important to consider, of course, innovation activities from proof of concept and laboratory validation. So we are talking about TRLs 3 and 4 to its demonstration in a real environment or in a relevant environment, if I can correct myself. And so it would be up to TRL 6. And more than this, it is also important to consider the whole business idea associated with this innovation maturing, with this technology maturing. The program, as I said again, but I stress once again, is aimed at startups, spin-offs, and SMEs in general, which should be established at least 2 years prior. And so these organizations, these entities may apply to the program. Research centers and large companies can also participate, and in some countries there is funding to cover this participation. In some other countries, the funding, public funding, is not available for these entities. So in Eurostars, for these aspects and for other aspects which we will see in a while, it is really important to always double check the national level rules of each country before proceeding. And we will explain a little bit later the process of application, which it will make more sense. Other things that are important to notice is that the project consortium should be composed of entities from at least 2 Eurostars countries, with at least one coming from an EU or a Horizon Europe associated country, and at least one must be a RECA full member or partner country. Moreover, the project should be led by SME. This is key to retain from a Eurostars country. Once again, the program is highly oriented to SMEs, and so that's why this criteria is very important to retain. Other important details which relate to eligibility should be followed, such as the fact that the budget allocated to SMEs from Eurostars countries constitutes at least 50% of the total project budget. And additionally, no single participant or country should be responsible for more than 70% of the total project budget. Moreover, the project should exclusively be dedicated to civilian purposes, and it is designed to have a duration of maximum 36 months, so 3 years, and usually this period, usually projects run about 2.5 years to 3 years, as this is the general reference. And furthermore, it is important also to state that it is important generally to align the projects with national or regional smart specialization strategies or other equivalent policies that may exist in the countries in question. And so this would be really key eligibility criteria and rules to have in mind if you are interested in submitting a project to Eurostars program. Moving on, just to provide you a brief overview of the participating countries in Eurostars program, as I mentioned briefly through the presentation already, All EU member states are part of the program, as well as countries associated to the Horizon Europe. And we can highlight as well Canada, South Korea, Singapore, South Africa, and Switzerland. And it is really important to check in each call for proposals if there are any restrictions in terms of participating countries. In this case, for the 8th call of the Eurostars, it is important to say that the UK, Switzerland, Greece, South Korea, and Israel don't have allocated budget for this call. Okay. And with this, we can move forward, presenting you an overview of what we can call an average project. It is really important to note that in addition to eligibility, the proposals should have, of course, an innovative solution with potential for commercialization in the short to medium term, of course, depending on the sector. And this should be a collaborative work of a consortium. And the consortium should cover the maximum number of necessary skills to implement the project, okay? Just as an additional note. Of course, once again, I highlight the fact that these projects, which are based on R&D innovative solutions, should not neglect the business strategy, business idea, business plan, and this should be hand in hand with the technology activities. And so typically a project that follows these considerations, which I just mentioned, should have at least 2 partners, and the usual is to go up to 4 partners based into 2 or 3 different countries as an average reference. And the duration, as I said before as well, should be around 2.5 years, 3 years maximum, and the average would be 2 to 2.5 years. And budget per partner is usually around the limit for these depends on each country. And it is usually around 400,000 per partner, okay? But it is really important, once again, to check if there is any limitation at national level, since there are some countries which impose a maximum limit of budget per entity. Others don't have these limitations, and so it is important to check carefully. We don't mention here co-financing percentages. We will jump into that in the next slides, but it is quite important as well to stress that the co-financing percentages depend on the national country in question from which the entity is part of. And this also may vary depending on type of organization. And so we move forward to explain the proposal process, which in Eurostars it's a very specific process. First, there is an international call, which is the Eurostars call, which is currently open, as I mentioned previously. And this first step consists on submitting an electronic submission of a collaborative proposal written in English on the Eureka program platform, which you can see there on the slide. Of course, if you want to take advantage of the current call, which is opened, you would have until the 13th of March, and you could start preparing the proposal already. Usually, Eurostars has two cutoffs during the year, one in March and another one in September. As a general rule, of course, should be always validated each year. And so this is the first step for the Eurostars process. Results are available usually 3 months after submitting, after the deadline date. If the submitted project proposal receives a score which is above the stipulated threshold and thus receives a seal, entities must then seek national funding options, which is, let's say, the second phase of the Eurostars process. These, of course, we always advise that applicants know these rules and are familiar with these rules and processes before starting even the international application, of course. But in any case, this would be the second stage, the national stage. In most cases, this implies submitting another proposal based, of course, on the proposal which was submitted to the Eurostars, which may require adjustments, some additional fields or not. Again, it depends on the country. But it is really familiar, it is recurrent that there is the need of submitting an application at national level in order to compete for the national funds available. I stress again that this is different. This application process is different in each country, as well as specific rules that might apply. These may be different in each country, and so for this webcast, we present cases of Portugal and Belgium. So it is also possible to have a practical view on how these rules and specifications can be different. And so in Portugal, the national application is usually within the scope of the Portugal 2030 program, in specific within the internationalization of R&D call, industrial R&D operations on an European scale, and this is under the jurisdiction of the Innovation Agency in Portugal, ANI. Each application to this national call is evaluated according to specific criteria, excellence, impact, quality, and efficiency of implementation criteria. And projects must align either with the SMART specialization strategy or the regional specialization strategies. Important to notice here the co-financing rates, which in Portugal depend on the region. And so for most regions, North, Center, Alentejo, and Algarve regions, there is a maximum co-financing rate of 80%, and in Lisbon, this rate is only 40%. We also have an indication of eligible costs, which are detailed in the slide, and this would be personal costs, costs of acquiring and applying for patents, costs of raw materials and consumables, as well as acquiring services, instruments, equipment, and software. There is also room to finance travel and accommodation costs and costs with dissemination and communication of the project. Finally, there is an indirect cost rate, which is 7% flat rate applied on the total direct eligible costs. And so this would be the case for Portugal. In any case, we always advise on either contacting us and or ANI, the Innovation Agency, to always double check and ensure all the rules. And now we would also like to showcase the specific case of Belgium. Belgium has a specific case of having 3 agencies in charge of managing these national funds related with the Eurostars, which are segmented by region. And so we would have Belgium, Brussels, let's say, which we have here the Innovaris agency, which covers the Brussels region. And in this case, to be eligible for financial support, entities must develop all or part of the activities in this region, in the Brussels capital region, and present an R&D project that is likely to positively impact the economy, employment in the region. And as such, collaboration here is key, as there is also a criteria in which Brussels research centers must partner with at least one Brussels SME. Financial support provided is 100% for project costs for research centers, and for companies it can range between 40 and 80%, depending on the size of the company and other aspects such as the type of project, if it is more focused on industrial or experimental development, okay? And so this would be the case for Belgium in Brussels region. And then we have the case for the Flanders region. In this case, to be eligible, the Flemish participants must submit a digital application for the R&D project to the VLAIO agency. And this application must, again, have a regional focus, must be somehow located in the Flemish region. And it is also important to note that Flemish partners should submit a shortened application to the VLAIO agency before the international cutoff deadline. So before the international deadline, the 13th of March. So in this case, it would be slightly different from the Portuguese case. In this case, the co-financing rates should be consulted directly through the VLAIO agency. And finally, for the region of Wallonia, there is also a slightly different process. So there is a need of submitting an application to the SPW research via the on-time portal, and this application must be written in French, submitted on the on-time portal at the time of the Eurostars call deadline, the international cutoff date as well, similar to the Flanders process. In this case, the co-financing rate varies between 40 to 80% as well for Walloon partners from this region, again, depending on the size of the company, mainly. And so with this, I hope you have an overview of the different cases which can happen in Eurostars. But again, each country is different, and we should always check carefully what are the rules for each country. As we are approaching the end of this webcast, just highlight here really briefly the success rate of the program, referring to the previous program for 2014 to 2020. The success rate of the program was 27%, which for European funding programs, it's quite a good success rate. It's an attractive success rate, and thus we believe that Eurostars could be a really good first step into the European funding world, due to the type of projects which we already explained, and of course this success rate also helps validate that argument. Finally, just to highlight once more before we finish the deadline for the Eurostars 8th call, which is the 13th of March this year. And so, if you intend to submit a proposal, now is the time to start preparing it in order to submit it successfully. And as I said, in Eurostars there are usually two cutoffs per year, so we expect to have another one usually by September. And so, with this, I would like to thank everyone for your attention and for participating in this webcast. Once more, please share with us the potential doubts that you may have. Um, we will happily address them. And FI Group is, of course, available to support your applications, your proposals to Eurostars program, in case you are interested and in need of this type of support. So you can just reach us and we can discuss your ideas. So with this, we finalize the Eurostars program webcast for